Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we're going to be taking on a 100% rated puzzle, which may test our mathematical abilities, called Fraction Party. And this is by Sujoyku, who I've done a puzzle or two by on the channel before, a fantastic constructor. And this one is mental. So you can see some of these cages have fractions as they're in their top left hand corner. Now let me get this right. I think what this 7/2 means is that there's a digit in this cage. Let's say it's a 4, and 7/2, which is 3.5, means that if there was a 4 in this cage and it was the dividing digit, two of the digits in the cage would add up to 14, because 14 divided by 4 is 7/2. Yes, that is mind-bending. Well, is it mind-bendingly complicated? It's not massively complicated, but it's very unusual in Sudoku to have to think like this. In fact, maybe it would have been easier. I mean, obviously, if one of the digits is in here is a 2 and it is acting as the divisor, the other two digits could add up to 7. And they could be a 1/6 or a 3/4 pair. So yeah, okay. So I'm starting to get my head around it, even as we do a quick example. It's called Fraction Party. As I say, perfect rating, loads of recommendations, and for the mathematical among you, it should be great fun. And hopefully not too stretching, but we'll see. It's got 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty. Other news, well, not much actually. We've got over on our Patreon, we've got All the Fun of the Fair, which is our January reward. So if you want to have a go at the competition, have a go at the puzzles in there. We've been delighted with the feedback so far. And well done to all those of you who've managed to make your way through all those puzzles. Very, very good solving indeed. Also on Patreon, imminently, is going to be my solve of the Cogito's roller coaster Nurikabe, one of the most baffling and perplexing and frankly clever puzzles I've ever solved. It's by, did I say it's by the Cogito? I can't remember if I said that, but it is by the Cogito. It's definitely worth having a look at if you like very, very hard puzzles, and I do. Occasionally, not every day, but I do. Other news, I've got a birthday to do. Let me wish Maddie a very happy 21st birthday, and this is from your friend Parker over there in Kentucky. I mean, Parker, he says he adores you, and you mean the world to him. And I think I'm also meant to wish you a happy birthday from Bear the Green Dinosaur. I don't know who Bear the Green Dinosaur is. I don't even know if that's meant to be Parker. And I don't even know, maybe I was meant to just wish you a happy birthday from Bear the Green Dinosaur. I hope I haven't messed anything up there, Maddie. And I hope you have a brilliant day, of course, with lots and lots of chocolate cake with the correct ratio of icing, 1:1, as we all know. Do I have any other news for you? Not that I can think of. Not that I can think of, so why don't we just get on with solving. I'll read you the rules to Sujoyku's puzzle. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each into every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. All given cages are divisor killer cages. Digits in a divisor killer cage do not repeat. Okay, that's an important thing. There are definitely opportunities for repeats, I can see that, but they mustn't repeat in cages. Each cage contains one divisor digit, which has to be determined by the solver. The clue in the top left indicates the value of the sum of all other digits in that cage divided by the divisor digit. For example, a 3-cell divisor killer cage containing the digits 1, 2, and 3 may have a valid clue of either 5, because 2 plus 3 divided by 1 is 5. Okay, I can see that. 2, because 1 plus 3 divided by 2 is 2, or 1, because 1 plus 2 divided by 3 is 1. That's crazy. So the same composition of digits could have many different actual clues. That does not feel easy all of a sudden. Okay, do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play Let's Get Cracking. I haven't got a clue really where to start here. What is the biggest number in this puzzle? Is it 15? Okay, it's probably 15. I might have missed a cage or two, but I can't see anything bigger than a 15. So what's this saying? This is saying that we have to identify a digit in here, which could be a 1, couldn't it? So let's say there's a 1 and that's the divisor digit. Then the other 4 digits would add up to 15. So the cage overall would add up to 16, which is very strange given it's got a 15 written in it. Okay, but the divisor doesn't necessarily have to be 1. If it was 2, then the other digits would add up to 30. That's only just possible, isn't it? So I'm just sort of working my way through this, but something like that. There's only 2 possibilities for the sort of constitution of this 15 cage, and probably that 15 cage as well. Then it's either got a 2 in it somewhere, and the other digits in the cage add up to 30, because 30 divided by 2 is 15. Or it's got a 1 in it, and the other digits add up to 15. Right, so, right, so that means that the total of all the digits in the 15 cage is a multiple of 16. Yes, that's right, isn't it? That's actually obvious. Sorry. That is obvious, and yeah, so I can instantly see actually for the 10 cage, because there's got to be a digit in it that acts as the divisor digit, the other digits are adding up to 10. So imagine this was a 1, these would add up to 10, so the total for the cage would be 11. If this was a 2, these would add up to 20, and the total for the cage would be 22. So that, right, so the digits, so we can almost, well, I don't know whether we're meant to do this, but we can almost not ignore, but we can look at the total value in the top left corner of the killer cage, add 1 to it, and know that the digits in the cage overall add up to a multiple of that number. Now let's just check that works. It should work. I feel like it should work, even for a fractional answer. Like 5.2 is 2.5. Add 1 to it, 3.5. So I'm so the digits in here have to add up to a multiple of 3.5. Now we can't make digits in Sudoku add up to 3.5, but I can see how 7 would work here, which is a multiple of 3.5. Because we could have 1, 2, and 4, and 1 and 4 add up to 5, and 5 divided by 2, which would be the other digit, is 5 over 2. Whoa, okay. Alright, so what I'm deducing from this is that any fractional cage that has a 2 in its denominator has an even digit in it acting as the divisor. Because obviously, I mean, if let's take this example, if this is 2.5, we can't put a 1 in here as the divisor, because the other 2 digits would have to add up to 2.5. That's patently impossible, isn't it? If you put 3 in here, the other digits would have to add up to 2.5 multiplied by 3, which is still not an integer. So there's an even digit in all of the fractional cages. Oh, we've got a 14 cage there. Right, so that adds up to a multiple of 15. So that's either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the 1 acting as the divisor, or it's got a 2 in it and it adds up to, and the other digits add up to 28. So that the whole thing adds up to 30. It can't add up to 45. That's not going to work. And that we can deduce that in many ways, but one way would be to know a secret of Sudoku, which I'd share with only my favourite people. And if you're still with me at 10 minutes into fraction party, you definitely deserve to know it if you don't know it already. The secret is, of course, that all the digits in Sudoku, the digits 1 to 9, sum to 45. And that is a 5-cell cage, so it cannot possibly sum to 45, can it? even if we put big digits in it, we'd only get to 35 with 9, 8, 7, 6 and 5. I'm not sure how we start this. I guess one thing I could say is that these 10 cages are not both adding up to 11, because there's only one way to make 4 different digits add up to 11. We could have 1, 2, 3 and 5, but I can't make that 1, 2, 3 and 5 as well, because that's far too many 1s, 2s, 3s and 5s in one column of the Sudoku. We'd have to repeat a digit there. So if one of these does add up to 11, only one of them adds up to 11. But if they add up to 22, I can smell gingerbread. I don't understand that. That's slightly worrying. Hang on, what was I talking about? Stop thinking about Hansel and Gretel now. Okay, if this added up to 22, which would be the next thing it can't add up to 33, can it? No, it can't add up to 33 because there's 4 different digits. Only in Sudoku could only add up to 30. So if this was 22, you'd have to have a bit of 2 in it. Let's say it was here. And then the other digits would add up to 20, which could be done in a variety of ways. Right, so that's annoying. So it's possible, I think, that both of these 10 cages could contain digits adding to 22 without repeating digits here. Right, the two 15 cages, they have to be different as well, don't they? Because 15, we worked out, was either 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, adding up to 16, or it's adding up to 32 but includes a 2 in it. So the other digits are 6, 7, 8, 9 and 2. So there are only 2 possible versions of 15 cage, and if these were the same version, that, you know, if these were both 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, clearly there would be too many of one digit in a column, wouldn't there? So that doesn't work. So these are different flavors, one of which is big, one of which is little. Problem with this 4, that can't be a big no, that's not a big thing. So this cage adds up to a multiple of 5. Well, it can't just be 5, there's too many digits. The minimum this could be would be a 15 cage with 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in it. And that would work. Yeah, that's weird. It's so strange. The way that works is that the divisor is a 3. So it would be 1, 2, 4, 5 which add up to 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. I don't know whether it's better to use my trick of adding 1 and then finding multiples, or just thinking about what the divisor digit is. It's almost easier to just think about what the divisor digit is. I mean, if the divisor digit is 4 there, you've got the other digits adding up to 16. But obviously overall the cage adds up to 20. Half. What's half doing? Oh, okay. Half is a bit difficult, isn't it? Because we can't. The divider in here, which needs to be an even number. We were thinking that when we were looking down here, but obviously it can't be a low even number. It certainly can't be 2. Because if it's 2, the other 2 digits in the cage have to add up to 1, and no matter how hard we try, we're not going to achieve that. So that feels more difficult, actually. This is going to be a multiple of 3 as well, isn't it? Because if we add 1 to a half, we get 1.5, which is not an integer. So we're then going to multiply 1.5 by an even number, and we're always going to end up with numbers like 3 and 6 and 9. Which means that this will add up to a multiple of 3 overall. And if this had 4 in it, that's not going to work either, is it? That's quite interesting, actually. Yeah, obviously 4 is the same as 2. If we have 4 in here as the divider, and we need to get to a result of a half, the other 2 digits are adding up to 2, which we can't put double 1 in the cage. So it's got at least a 6 in it. And 6 is only just possible. It has to be a 1-2 pair with a 6. And then the other divisor that would work is 8. And 8 would have a 1, 3 in it. Right, okay. So a half cage definitely has a 1 in it. I've had a different thought about that, actually. I'm just wondering. I might go off on a tangent because I've had a different thought. But a half cage has a 1 in it. That's what we've just worked out. It is either... It's either 1, 3, 8, or it's 1, 2, 6. I don't know why I didn't put those in there. 1, 2, 3, 6, 8. Can't see what to do with that, I'm afraid. No, my tangential thought, I'm going to go and think about that, was how many of these cages have to have 2 in them? Because I think when I was thinking about it, the 10 cage definitely had to have a 2 in it, didn't it? Because it's either adding up to 11, so it's 1, 2, 3, 5, with 1 as the divisor, or it's adding up to 20. It's not adding. It's adding up to 22 with a 2 in it as the divisor, and it can't add up to 33. So there's definitely a 2 in the 10 cages. And there was definitely a 2 in the 15 cages. Yeah, okay, look at this. So that's not a 2. There's definitely a 2 in the 15 cages because the 15 cage either adds up to 16, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, or it adds up to 32 with the 2 as the divisor. It can't add up to 48 for obvious reasons. So that's not a 2. Oh dear, is this not going to work? What about that one? Does that have to have a 2? That must have to have a 2 in it. So it's the same logic really as the 15 cage. This cage adds up to a multiple of 15. So it's either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's got a 2 in it, or it's adding up to 30, but with 2 as the divisor, which also has a 2 in it, and it can't add up to 45. So that's not a 2, that's not a 2. So we probably just need... Well, actually, maybe we don't need... I've had another thought. Brain is flitting around here. But I've now got... Yes. Okay, I'm now going to change tack altogether. I'm going to look at this cage, this cage, this cage, and this cage. Now, those cages have 4 2s in them, definitely. And how many... I invite a question now about box 2, box 3, box 5, and box 6. How many 2s are there in those boxes? Well, each box, by the rules of Sudoku, will have 1 2 in it. So altogether, in these boxes of the Sudoku, all these cells, there are 4 2s. And we've just worked out that there are also 4 2s in the green cells. So that cannot be a 2. That's okay, that's underwhelming. That can't be a 2. But I don't think we need, well, okay, sorry, no, I mean everything I've said is true there, I think. You can't put a 2 in the 5/2 cage at all now. Let's have a quick look at that cage, because that cage has a 2 in its row, locking a 2 out of these, and this can't be a 2 by the logic we were just talking about regarding the number of 2s in boxes 2, 3, 5 and 6. So this hasn't got a 2 in it, but it is a fractional answer. So we know, well, what do we know? It's a 5/2 cage, which is 2.5, so it's adding up to numbers like 7, which is impossible, 14, which would involve a 4. That's right, isn't it? Yeah, that is right. The other 2 digits would be adding up to 10. So we'd have 2 digits adding up to 10 and then a 4 in it. Or it could be 6 times 2.5, which is 15. Ah, that's still possible, is it? That's only just possible, but it is possible. I don't believe it. That's genuinely surprised me. So what I'm seeing there is, yeah, 3.5. It is. It does work as well. It would add up to 21. Yeah. So I was thinking, if we had a 6 in here, the other 2 digits now. So 6 is the divisor. The other 2 digits have to add up to 15 to make the maths work. 15 divided by 6 is 2.5. But you couldn't repeat the 6, so you'd have to use 6. You'd have to use 6, 7, 8. But that might work. That's bobbins worthy, isn't it? So that's not where we go now. In fact, we haven't really got anything in the grid apart from a whole load of greenly pencil marks. Sorry. What about the 15 over 2 then? So what's that? 7.5. So we increase that to 8.5, and we know that the digits in that overall add up to a multiple of 8.5. So they're either adding up to 17 if one of them is a 2, which would be fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, or 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, or they're adding up to 34, and one of them is a 4, which would be 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I actually don't know any digit that definitely has to appear in that cage. I don't think. That's infuriating. I'm missing something here. I feel like I've done a lot of thinking around the subject in 22 minutes and got absolutely no reward for it yet. What about the 2 half cages? They have to be different, don't they? Because we knew that, yes, there was either a 6 with a 1, 2 pair. It was 1 plus 2 over 6 is a half, or you've got 1 plus 3 over 8. Yes, so if these were the same cages, these 4 digits would only be selected from 3 different numbers. So these are different. Let's actually make sure we understand that. Let's highlight those. Now, it's 1, 2, 6 or 1, 3, 8. 1, 2, 6 is going to put pressure on. Hang on. Ah, we've definitely got a 2 in one of those, so that's not a 2 either. Right, okay. Good grief, that's quite complicated, but this 15 cage is now determined in the sense that I know it's not adding up to 16, because that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and both of these digits would then only be able to be 8. I'm not actually sure that I've got that right. That feels like a weird deduction. Why is that the case? If that's 2, we know this is a 1, 6 pair. That ruins this. If this is not 2, we know this is 1, 3, 8. No, it's right, isn't it? Okay, that is right, bizarrely. So this 15 cage is now the first cage we know the composition of. It's adding up to 32, and it's got a 2 in it, so it is 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that is not a 2. Right, and the fact it's got 8 in it then, and 6. Oh, this is good. Right, so this is now 1, 3 pair, and that digit is an 8 in order to make the maths of this half cage work. Right, now that means this cage is not got 8 in it, or 3. It's 1, 2, and 6. which is probably important. What are those digits then? We can get those. They're 4 and 5 by Sudoku. Okay, that's helpful, probably. Now, what do we do with this newfound knowledge that we've just earned? We can... I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, here is a small point. We worked out, didn't we, that there were 4 2s in the green cells. And there have to be 4 2s in boxes 2, 3, 5 and 6. So there must be the 2 that is allocated in this puzzle to box 5 must be in one of these 3 squares, and that means that square is not a 2 and that square is not a 2. Oh, right, okay, right. This is really interesting. Let's carry on with this sort of logic though. Again, in box 2, the 2 is in one of those 4 squares. In box 3, the 2 is in one of these 4 squares. So there is no 2 in this puzzle in any of these cells here. And therefore the 2 in this box is in one of those 2. Well, not in this box, but in row 2 is in one of these 2. And that means that's a 2. Which means we get a 1-6 pair for the price of nothing. We get a 3 here, a 1. That 2 bounces back up here and gives me another 2. I've not put 7 and 9 into box 1, which we can now do. 2. No, be careful, Simon. 2 is not in these 2 squares, but do we know which of these 3 it's in? Is there a 2 in one of those? Yes, there is, isn't there? I've got to be careful here. I know there's a 2 in one of these, so I can de-greenify these. There's definitely a 2 in one of these. If the 2 was there... I don't know, actually. If the 2's there, that's a 2. One of these is a 2. Still don't think it's very obvious. Okay, but this is not a 2. That certainly seems to be true. Ah, this 2 is doing work. Right, so no, it's all about the 2's, this puzzle. Weirdly. So now... Well, didn't we say that yeah, the 10 cage, this 10 cage had to have a 2 in it. Yeah, that can't be a 2 because there needs to be a 2 in one of those 3 squares, so that seems to have to be a 2. I think there was an easier way of getting to that deduction, but anyway, I've got there. There's a 2 in one of these, a 2 in one of these, but is there definitely a 2 in one of these? Because that would rule this one out. Yeah, the 15 cage had to have a 2 in it, just like that 15 cage had to have a 2 in it. And now, by hook or by crook, we've managed to get that 2 into this domino, so that's not a 2. So there's a 2 here. So there's a 2 in one of those 3 squares. But all my pencil marking's getting a bit difficult now. I want to make it clear there's a 2 in one of these, but I'm upset that that's going to sort of impinge upon my understanding of the 14 cages too. And do we know now what this cage adds up to? If it was, this could be 1, 3, 5, could it? 1 would be here, this would be 3 or 5. Maybe that's possible, I don't know. What about... Where should we look now? Yeah, no. There's 2's down here, look, and 2's down here, so we've got sort of a great deal of 2-age down at the bottom of columns 3 and 4. There's no 2, I'm now seeing, in the 7/2 cage. Is that useful? Because this is one of those cages that's got to have a divisor that is even, doesn't it? So 3.5, 4.5, we're adding up to 9 or 18. Well, 9 is impossible, because 9 has 2 as the divisor. So we're in 18 land. We can't be in more than 18 land, can we? There's no way. Because if we're in 18 land, we've got a 4 in here and 2 digits that add up to 14, and that's quite hard to do. So if we go into 6 land, we're in a world of trouble. We've got 21. Yeah, we've got to have 21 and the 6, which is not going to work. You can't make 2 digits in Sudoku add up to 21. Right, so this cage has a 4 in it, which actually doesn't look that helpful at first blush. So it's got a 4 in it, because we don't know where that goes. At least I don't think we know where it goes. It's got a 4 and then 2 digits that add up to 14, which are either 6 and 8, so that would put an 8 here and a 6 in one of these, or 5 and 9, but we know nothing about those digits. So this is proper good lift territory in terms of pencil marking. Bother. Okay. Can we... Is this in some way obvious what I'm meant to do now? Is there a... Oh, I know what it'll be. I even said this earlier. The 15 cage here is different from the 15 cage here, so I know what this is. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, isn't it? No 2s in those squares. No 6 in the corner. So the other digits in this column are 5, 7, 8 and 9. Right. Some of which are in a funny old cage down here. Ooh, yeah. Okay, this is probably where we look actually, isn't it? Yeah, this is where we look. How are we going to make this work? That is a very interesting question. So you can see this cage has 3.5 as its total. So if we do use our add 1 and then find multiples trick, we need multiples of 4.5, which are going to be 9 or 18 here, aren't they? Depending on whether our divisor is 2. Well, it can't be 2 because we can't make these squares add up to 9, or 4, in which case we need 2 digits that add up to 14 to accompany it. Well, we'd have to put the 4 here, and this would have to be a 5-9 pair. And we can't go higher than that because we were just looking at that over there, and we know that if we use 6 as the divisor over here, we need 2 digits that add up to 21. This is beautiful. So what we actually learn from this is this digit. That digit has to be a 4. These digits have to be a 5-9 pair, which means we get a 7-8 pair at the top. Oh, we get a 7-8 pair which we can resolve at the top of the column. Yes, that gives me a 7-9 pair which I can resolve. That doesn't seem to resolve my other 7-2 cage. Let's see what else this does. It puts 8 in one of these. It puts... Well, it means we have to take 8 out of all of these squares and 7 out of these squares. So that feels worthy, doesn't it? And as a result of this, we can argue that's not 4. I'm trying desperately hard to seeing what else we could argue. There's no 4 in that cage anymore. Is that going to be worth investigating? Don't know. That square's limited. That sees a 1-6 pair in its row. So this square's come right down. That's 3 or 4 only. You can tell this has been put together by somebody hella smart, can't you? I mean, this is just really, really good setting, because it sort of takes concepts you think you understand, like killer cages and dividing numbers, and plonks them together in a way where your brain just goes, ah! 2.5. So this is 3.5. These are adding up to, so this is either 7 if it's got a 2 in it. Oh, well, it's not got a 2 in it. That's interesting. That feels relevant. Okay, so the way I'm seeing that is using my trick of adding 1 to 2.5 to get 3.5 and then multiplying it up by even numbers. So I can see this adds up to 7 or 14 or things like that. But I don't think 7 or 14 work, because if this adds up to 7 with a 2 divider, the other 2 digits have to add up to 5, but they couldn't be 2, 3. That would repeat the 2 I want to put in there, and it couldn't be 4, 1, because you can't put 4 in the cage at all. But 4 can't go in the cage at all, because 4 by Sudoku. So the minimum divisor here is a 6, believe it or not. Okay, so this could be, oh right, so this is one of those 6, 7, 8 cages, because we need 2 digits. Once we know that's at least a 6 in the cage, we need 2 digits that add up to 15 to make the maths work, and we can't use 6, 9. So this is 6, 7, 8. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Now this one can't be 6, 7, 8 now, so this might be where we look next. Let me just have a quick think about this. Is there any other easy win we get from deducing this is a 6, 7, 8 gauge? Can't see what that's doing. Alright, so I'm going to come and look at this one now. Now, you can see this can't be 6, 7, 8 as well, because this column now has too many cells that can only be selected from 3 different numbers. This cage we worked out earlier couldn't have a 2 in it at all. So the dividing digit in this cage must be 4, because 6, 7, 8 is hard enough to do. If you try and make the divider 8 here, you'll get into a lot of trouble. You'll have to have 2 digits that add up to 20 as the other digits, which is too much. So that's a 4 is what we're learning there. So that's a 4 now in my cage running up column 9. That's a 4. This is big. This is huge. Come on. Right, so these add up to 14. 4 is in one of these squares by Sudoku. These 2 digits add up to 10. And they are not 4, 6. So they're either 2, 8. But we can't put 2 in the cage, so it's not 2, 8. Yeah, so this is 3, 7. That's the only way that can work. Because we've got to make 2 digits add up to 10 to make the mathematics work. Oh, I can't take that call. I don't even know with a phone. It says slide to answer, and I don't want to answer. Do I press the side button to make it go away, or will that answer it? I don't know, but I can't take it now. I have to leave it. I don't dare press anything. Right, so that's not 3. Those aren't 7, so this is 7. That's a 6, 8 pair, so this is 1. These squares come down, so now we know that this is a 2, 3, 6 triple. I must know that digit. That's a 2 by Sudoku. Ah, that's useful, because that gives me a 2 up here, look. That's right. That 7 means that that's a 7 in the top row. That feels like it might matter. Oh, yeah, I know where I'm going to look now. I've got 3 and 7 in this row with the 14. Now, I remembered one of the options for the 14 was that it added up to 15. Well, it can't do that now because it can't have 3 or 1 in it. So this adds up to 30 and has a 2 in it. Sorry, that's not... No, that is right. That is right, actually. That's not great. Yeah, it does add up to 30 with a 2 in it, so the other digits add up to 28 but can't use 7. Right, okay, that's still useful. Because that must be 9, 8, 5, 6, mustn't it? Yeah, because 28, there's only two ways of doing that in Sudoku. It's either 9847 or 9856, and there's no 7 in here. Right, so it's a 2 in one of these, and then the other digits are 5, 6, 8, 9. And that's going to give me this digit as a 4, which means that digit is not a 4. I can't put 4. Ah, that's annoying. That's annoying. I might be able to do that cage. I'm not sure about this cage. Let me just have a quick... I'm going to have another quick think. I don't know. I'm going to have a look at this cage. Because this cage, I can see, can't possibly now add up to 11, can it? It can't be 1, 2, 3, 5 because it's got a 4 in it. So this cage must add up to a multiple of 11, which means it adds up to 22. And it's got 6 in 2 of its digits. So the other 2 digits must be a 7, 9 pair. Okay, and the 7 must go there then. So that seems fair, doesn't it? So that's a 7, that's a 3. This is a 2, 9 pair. That means we get the top digit up there. So we get 6s and 9s. That's a 9 by Sudoku. That's huge. That's huge because that's in this one. And now this can't be 1, 2, 3, 5. So this is also adding up to 22. And these 2 digits are a 3, 8 pair. I think that's the only way I can make that work. Because they can't be 2, 9, they can't be 4, 7, and they can't be 5, 6. So that's 3 and 8. Now, if that's 3 and 8, I'm looking around desperately thinking that must be resolved. It's going to leave... Okay, 1 and 5 have to be placed in this column, and so the top digit there must be a 5. That must be a 1. How can that not be resolved? It's ludicrous. That 2, 9 pair knocks a 9 out of that square. Now, these two had to add up to 14, if I'm remembering. So that means we've got this quite restricted. Okay, we know these digits. They've got to be a 1, 5, 8 triple by our old friend Sudoku. And that means in this column we've not put in 3 and 6, which we can now do. So 6 and 3 go in. Ah, that does do this. So that's 3, that's 8. Okay. I don't know if that was the way we wanted that to work or not, but we get the 6s done. We get, oh, I was going to say we've got an X-wing on 2s, but that's not going to help us. We've already got the 2 in row 4. These digits are 5 and 1, which we can put in. So these 2 digits now are 3 and something, 3 and 4, which means that digit ought to be 9 by a process of Sudokuage. 9 comes out of this digit, or this cell, I should say. And for our next trick, we will reveal something. Come on, Simon, think, use your brain. What do we have to do now? No idea. No idea. It's got to be... There's a 7 in that cage by Sudoku. I haven't got a clue. It's probably this cage. I'm going to check that one in a moment. I'm just trying to see whether there's any easy Sudoku wins that I could avail myself of. 9. Oh no, I thought maybe I could do something there, but no. No, foiled again. 9 is in one of those 3. Could we... 9 is not there. I've got a 9 in this column already. Okay, let's investigate this cage then. So what this was adding up to 7.5. We can add 1. Oh yes, this was one of the... one of the options for this was it added up to 17, wasn't it? And it can't... Well, it can add up to 17, but not involving a 7 anymore. So if it does add up to 17, it's got to be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay, but hang on. if this was the other option for this cage, is that it adds up to 34 and includes a 4. Well, it can't do that anymore. It can't have 4 in it. That 4 takes care of most of it, and that 4 takes care of the other. Right, so this cage is crucial. This cage is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, which is, that feels like an incredibly useful thing to know. That's not 2. I say it feels like a really useful thing to know, and now it doesn't do anything at all. That's not 2. From this 2. That's not 2. That's not 3. Oh, no, 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 come on. That's impossibly annoying that you can actually get this cage and it doesn't do anything. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is clearly resolved in some way. I just have to notice why. That square can't be 8. Oh, I don't know. I'm so sorry. 4, 7, 9. I don't really want to look at that 4 cage. Do I have to look at that, do you think? That feels very difficult to understand. What that digit does see a 4 here, so that digit is 1, 5. It's not 7 actually, is it? Because there is a 7 in one of these squares. So that square is more restricted. Ah, nearly. I've nearly got a sort of 1, 5, 8 thing going on. Let's carry on with this then. Oh yes, I do. I do have that going on. What's that digit? In fact, that digit's even more restricted, I think. That digit by Sudoku is 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1 or 5. Okay, right, so I've got a 1, 5, 8 triple in this row. So the digits I've not put in this row are 4 and 7. So that's a 7, and that's a 4, and that's a 4, and that's a 3. So that's not 7 anymore. Okay, that feels like it's probably done some work at least. 2, 3, 5, 6. What's this digit? That digit is it's 2. It's not 3. It could be 5. Probably. Could it be 6? Maybe. Don't know. It can't be 7. Could it be 8? Maybe. Actually, it can't be 2. I've got a 2 over here already. Hang on. Why have I got so many digits in here? What is this digit? 1, 5, I'm just going to pencil mark it fully. 1, 5, 6 or 8, just based off this. And it can't be 1. So is it really 5, 6 or 8? What's that doing down here? Don't know. If this isn't 6, I've got a 1, 5, 8 triple in this cage, which has to be a multiple of 5 overall, doesn't it? Because it's adding up to 4, or it's not adding up to 4. It's got its multiple. It's whatever it's called. Its thingy thing is 4, and if it's got a thingy thing of 4, 1, 5, and 8, 14, 21. You couldn't put 4 there. That would have to be a 9. What would that mean? 30. There's no 6 in it. Whoa, okay, this is tricky. Okay, but look, right, so what I'm saying is, if this square is not a 6, then I think, I'm going to double check this now, but 1, 5 and 8 add up to 14, plus 7 is 21. Now we know the cage overall adds up to a multiple of 5 because of the maths we were doing earlier. So this digit is either a 4 to make 25, well it's not a 4, or it's a 9 to get us up to 30. And it could be a 9, I think, but if it's a 9, the mathematics of this box are that we should have a 6 in here and 4 cells that add up to 24. That's how the 4 could be generated. 24 divided by 6. But there's no 6 in the cage, so it can't be that. So I think what that's telling us is that this is a 6. And don't tell me that does diddly squat. It does mean that in this column the 3 is down here. In fact, the 3 is in one of those two, isn't it? So that's definitely not 3. That's definitely not 3. So the 2 and the 3 are down here. Okay, so what exactly is that garnered for us? Oh, this is a 158 triple. So there's another 158 triple now in row thingy thing, in row 6. But probably we're meant to think about this digit. Let's think about that. So what have we got then? Although it's still, unless I pencil mark this square, which I am happy to do, but just it feels a bit like feels slightly tricky, doesn't it? I don't know. Maybe there's something more elegant. I'm just not seeing it. It almost looks like it's a question like, where does... Oh, it is. Oh, goodness. Where does 9 go in the bottom row is a very valid question, isn't it? It can't go in this cage. It doesn't seem to be able to go anywhere but the corner. Right, that's 9, that's 5, which means this becomes a 3. Okay. So does that break us into a new... Yes. Well, that gives me that digit, which... That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. Now... 3 is in one of those two squares. So can we make this work then? 13, 16. If this was a 3, we'd be on 16. We need these two digits to add up to either 4, which they can't, or 9, which they can with a 1-8 pair. Yeah, that doesn't work either though, does it? Yeah, that's lovely. If that's 3... we need this to be a 1-8 pair. I'm just checking there isn't another option. We've got 16 on the cards, so we either need these to add up to 14, which they can't do, 9, which they can do with a 1-8 pair, or 4, which they can't do. Now the 1-8 pair is a problem, because then the cage, I think, adds up to 25, which requires a 5 in it to act as the divider. To get us back down to 4 again, we'd have meant to have 4 digits adding to 20 and the 5, so that such that 20 divided by 5 is 4. But there's no 5 in the cage because this would be a 1-8 pair, so that's not 3. This is 3, which means that's 3, that's 2, that's 2, that's 9. That's now 6, that's 8. We know they had to add up to 14, don't we? So we get a 1-5 pair. That digit should be a 7. If I could type it, it would be a 7. That is an 8. So, oh, that's not done it. So that gives me a 2-5 pair, which does give me a 6 here, which does do a 6 and an 8 look for the price of nothing. So we get a bit more of thingy things filled in. 2-5 here. So this is definitely not 5 or 6. So this is an 8-9 pair in this column. So that's not 8. This is 1-5. It might still be this cage, you know, that we have to actually figure out at the end of all this jiggery pokery. Can I see anything easier? I'm looking for stuff that's easier. 1, 5, 8, and 9. Oh, well, where's 9 in this row? It's got to go there. That's the only place it can go. That is presumably going to do some magic on this cage. We'll check that in a second or two. 9 is in one of those two squares. This is 1, 5, or 8, but we literally don't know which. So it's going to have to be mathematics. Now we're on 22. Now we can't get to 25 with these options. Now we can't get... Oh, hang on. So we've got to get, it's got to be a 5-8 pair to give us 13 more. Good grief. That's amazing. Yeah, okay, I was worried for a moment we couldn't actually get to a multiple of 5. But we can with 5 and 8. And that gets us to 35. And that's okay, isn't it? Because now we can have 7 as the divider of digits that add to 28. And that would get us back down to 4. Good grief. Okay, well that's now a 1. So that's 5, that's 8, that's 5, that's 1, that's 1. So that's 1, that's 6, that's not 6, that's not 8. I want that 4, 5 to be resolved, but it doesn't want to resolve. That's 4, 5 or 8, so that's 4 or 8 in the column. That 1 is giving me some digits, so this is now 5, that's 2, that's 1, that's 5. That's 6, that's 8, that's 4, that's 4, that's 5, that's 8, that's 9, that's 2, and we haven't put 9 in here, so we have to put 9 in, and then the other digit's going to be a 7, and that might be correct. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't know. Oh, bobbins, right, okay. Well, it says it's correct, but it's done a Sudoku check on the grid, so it hasn't had the solution inputted into it to know that this is correct. So we don't know for certain. That's going to require me to now study this grid extensively off camera and check that I believe it's right. And if I do, which I hope will be the case, then I will convert this link so that it has the solution in for when you guys have a go later on. It's a brilliant puzzle. It really is. Full mathematical calculation mode we needed to go today. But it was a lot of fun and just genuinely interesting. And I'm not sure whether my trick of adding 1 and finding multiples of it was useful or not in the end, but it was definitely useful to think about 2s. I didn't find, yeah, it's quite challenging. I'm going to be very interested to see whether the comments are this was easier than I found it, or whether people find it harder than I found it, or maybe it will be about the same in the end. But I've had a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.